As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's got the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I am, as always, Seth, your host. I am here today with Ashley Harding of North Star Academics in LA. So I'm on the East Coast. She's at lunchtime. I'm at the end of the day, pretty much. So that's pretty cool. Time zones, aren't they fantastic? Ashley is the founder and educational therapist at North Star Academics. She's dedicated the past 10 years to supporting children and families nationwide. It's not just LA, nationwide, navigating education's cultural and academic demands. Born and raised in West Los Angeles, so she's back where she started. Not academically, but she's in LA, which is cool. She has a bachelor's of science and degree from University of Southern California, master's in child development from Tufts. So she's been on the East Coast as well. She's been all over the country. So that's fantastic. She's done a lot. And we're going to have her talk about a little bit about her background, or because you're going to get sick of hearing it from me. But she does love 90s R&B, and she likes Randy's Donuts, which I have no idea what that is. So we're going to have to go into talking about that. Hey, Ashley, how's it going?
Hey, Seth, how are you?
I'm great. Have you always wanted to be an educator and help, those less fortunate, and how did this all get started?
So no, to answer your question, I've not always wanted to be an educator. When I finished undergrad, I worked in commercial real estate, and then the market hit like rock bottom, 2008, 2009. And then I moved to DC and I worked in international banking. So I worked for a large international bank at the time. I was head of their lobbying group. So my background is definitely more focused in like finance and more business practices.
Oh,
but
so
at night,
you're good at balancing your books. So that's good.
Yeah, so I can balance my books. Yeah. In fact, if you ask me to do a bank statement, spreadsheet, or balance sheet, I would rather that than like social media. That scares the crap out of me.
Wow.
But at night, when I was in DC working for the International Bank, I used to volunteer for an organization called the Homeless Children's Playtime Project.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I saw a lot of the inequities. That's where I saw kids of various backgrounds, disenfranchised, as you can imagine, being unhoused. But we saw that there were two-parent households that were separated because when families go into shelters, many times boys over 14 and the fathers are not permitted. And so these are things that like you don't know as an average person. Now, a lot of it's for safety. Obviously, you want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and that women and children feel comfortable. But think about what that does to a family, right? Like they're experiencing temporary housing insecurity, and now they've got to be separated. And so that's when I said, you know what, there's something bigger that can be done. I fell in love with Jeffrey Canada and the Harlem Children's Zone. So I knew I was committed to staying on the East Coast, at least for that time in my life. And I went to Boston and I went to Tufts for a master's in child development with I would say a sub-master's or a deeper degree in urban schools and education. Then I came back to
pivot. It's quite a pivot, but I guess I can see how the lobbying can come in handy.
Oh,
persuasion can come in handy.
Oh goodness, yes, that's a big part. I would say about 80% of what I do now is a lot of, we call it advocacy, but it's a lot of
Advocacy,
lobbying.
yeah, that's a more positive term than lobbying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's all the same though.
It's all the
It's
same, but
making
one's more
sure
positive
everybody's
thinking,
interest is met.
positive spin,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's great. So
yeah.
you've been doing this for 10 years.
Hmm.
And before that, you were in banking, real estate, completely other things. So you
Yep.
can, and so you found your calling. You came over here, and had you always been? When did has North Star Academics been like the main thing for this 10 years, or did you work in house somewhere?
No, I actually worked for a national charter organization. In fact, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. That was
Oh
not the
wow!
path that I wrote for myself. But when I moved back to LA, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew that I wanted to come back home. And it was after about a year working with somebody else that one of my parents, who I still have as a client, said, like, why the heck are we paying somebody else when you're the only one we know? You're the only one that we
You're the
work
one that
with.
matters. We like you. We're gonna pay you.
We'd like you. We'd rather pay you. And North Star was founded in May
That's
of
kind of sweet.
2019.
Nice little, a nice kick in the tush to kind of
It
open up
is.
your own business. That they love you that much that they're like, we want to pay you. That's like that's really awesome. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, creators, podcasters, and brands, if you work on Instagram at all, you have to be tired of the limitations of link in bio. Well, there's a solution. Stampede.social is the ultimate Instagram tool that will change the way you engage with customers, fans, and followers. With Stampede.social, you go beyond a single bio link and instead slide into your fans' DMs. Fire off an automated direct link to wherever you want to send them straight from your posts and lives. This link is only sent to the fans who ask for it, so you'll know exactly who loves your content the most. And Stampede.social does so much more. It gives you back the power of knowing who is engaging with you. It makes it easy to engage with them using AI, and using Stampede.social gives you insights about how your Instagram profile is performing with super robust reports. Drive more clicks, more sales, more followers, and have more time to do what you really love, creating that amazing content. Join the ranks of the world's savviest Instagram creators who already trust Stampede.social. It's a true game changer and will transform the way you connect and engage with your Instagram fans forever. Just for you creators, use our limited time exclusive promo code MPN50. That's MPN50 and get 50% off any monthly or annual subscription tier at checkout. Are you ready to create a stampede of fans back to your content? Don't miss out on this special deal. Head over to Stampede.social.
It was the beginning of learning. And I always say being an entrepreneur is just having a product that makes everybody else's life easier. And that was the
Exactly.
beginning of
Not
really
always
understanding
ours.
that.
Not always ours. Ours is never easier when we're doing everyone else's lives easier.
Yes, sometimes it gives us a lot of passion and impact, and that's what I stand on. But the ease is usually my clients and customers.
Yeah,
And
we
so,
don't get ease.
yeah, the ease comes. My summers feel a little easier.
Easier. Yeah,
Easier.
because they're in
Yeah.
school and all that. It's because you're in Los Angeles, because so it's
Yes,
more temperate, but you also have a big homeless population out there.
we do. We have a huge unhoused population that
Unhoused.
obviously
That makes more sense. Yeah, unhoused is the new term.
unhoused is the new term. So we've got a huge unhoused population, and the studies are showing that, well, I don't know if you saw in the LA Times, I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, the median home price in California, in Los Angeles, is at $1 million.
Holy,
And this is This is not just Beverly Hills. Like, this is not what people think of for $1 million. We're talking about in communities that usually were focused on supporting the middle class, even in
$1
communities where
million.
you see $1 million.
No,
So
and
when
then
you
you
think
also got to
of,
look when you do that. You got to look at like what people are making. That because I mean, if you look in New York, like, I have a friend who has a house my size, but her house is worth $1 million because it's closer to New York, and she's making more money to afford that because inflation, and all that. But that doesn't always equal out. Sometimes,
no,
you're
no.
making the same amount as you would normally make, but the house
Mhm.
is up there, and it's like it's
That's
crazy.
it. Well, we've got huge companies coming, and I'm not going to disparage big business, but we've got Apple, we've got Google, we've got now Silicon Beach.
Oh wow.
So we are now competing with people who may make 6, 7 times what the average person makes because they're in an industry that can afford to pay that on
Yeah.
top of, and obviously with the strikes, things are shifting. But then you've got Hollywood. So you've also got another
Yeah.
pool of huge, vast income disparity. But yeah, no, LA has a huge unhoused population. We have a wonderful population of people who've been here, like myself, for generations. And there are moments where I think all of my friends who've left and come back, we all say, like, would we have done
Ouch.
that if our families weren't here?
Yeah,
Would
exactly.
this
The other
be the
places
city
are
that you
nice,
choose?
nice,
Yeah,
not
so
quite as hot,
it's a beautiful city, and it's great to be close to the beach, but you are paying a premium to be by the beach.
Exactly. But California in general is expensive. Like you can be in the middle of nowhere in California and it's still expensive.
That is true. And I can say I've never desired to be in the middle of nowhere in California. So I'm going to take your word for that. But yes,
Yeah.
California is quite expensive. I was shocked when I moved back east and just the amount of space that you get. And of course you're in a 300-old, apartment or house sometimes, but you have so much more space. You have a different quality of life. But it is
Everything's
cool.
relative, but you get the beach. You get the beach for crying out
You
loud.
get the beach. You
You
get
get
the
the beach.
beach.
So to go back to your entrepreneurial journey, how was it during the pandemic for you? That must have been
Um,
crazy.
So I started my business in May of 2019. I
Oh
had
geez.
contracts. Yeah, I was traveling a lot for students. So it seemed like, like everybody said, like, oh, it's a new decade, new year, new me.
Yeah, it's
And
rocket.
when,
Yeah.
yeah, when COVID hit, there was so much unpredictability because I think for most of us, we were taking our cue, obviously, from WHO, but there was such little information. And so we were really looking to schools to say, like, okay, if kids can go to school, this thing can't be that scary, right? The
And then
moment
kids
that
can't go to
California,
school and we're like, oh crap.
and then when kids couldn't go to school, it was like, I mean, I remember being in meetings with administrators who are like, we're not going back this year, but we can't tell parents that yet. Like literally, they were like, we've got to ease parents into this like
Oh, they were
2
eating
weeks,
it for a while there.
a month. Yeah.
I remember I was Lysoling. I
Oh
was in a
gosh.
co-working space and we were Lysoling because we didn't know what it was. We knew it was
Yeah.
airborne, surface borne, whatever. So we were
Yeah.
Lysol went out. I mean, hell, toilet paper. It
Yeah.
wasn't a GI thing, people. Come on. I mean, you might have caused it in
Toilet
some people, but
paper. No, but
people always
like
go for
who
toilet
thought
paper.
toilet paper would be the commodity of 2020 that like literally you'd have to
That's
go to
what
grocery
you
stores?
literally need. You need tissues, not toilet paper. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Everyone's like, oh no, it's going to make me poop. No, it's going to make you
Or
sneeze.
I think for a lot of us, it was like, let me stock up on everything I could need so I never have to leave my home
Remember
again.
hand sanitizer? How hard it was to get hand sanitizer? It was like,
Yeah.
what? Now
Do
you
you
can
remember
get
people
it.
making
Now it's like,
it?
now we have too much hand. Now at the CVS where I go, they have Lysol on discount because they can't get rid of the stock.
Wow. Okay,
It's like
stock up.
literally, it's a whole end cap full of one flavor of Lysol. Like, buy this, please. And I'm like, why is this here? They're like, because we have too much.
Hey, like get it. You'll never not need it at some point, even if 20 years from now you use
I have a
it. Just
10-year-old.
get it done.
I need it.
Oh,
He's a
you need
snot
it.
nosed
You need it.
teenager. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gross. I love him. I love him to death. But he's getting to that age that they go gross, they get
Yeah.
a little bit better, then they get even more disgusting. So
Yeah. Yeah. Just wait until they stop like brushing teeth and like showering. Cause like those are the things that kids regress on because now we're more independent, right? Like you're 10, take a shower. And then you'll notice like 2 days later, like, oh, they did not shower.
Or they didn't wash their armpits. Oh,
They didn't wash their armpits.
We're
Because they
dig-
don't think
we're
you
dig-
can smell it.
It's kind of in tune with education because you got to teach your kids to wash their armpits.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah.
So besides washing armpits, what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
I would say the best part about being an entrepreneur, and this speaks to working in schools, which I loved my experience to now, I get to choose how I make impact. I think that we
That's
have,
awesome.
and I'm sure everybody in any industry can say this, like we all have innovation, we all have creative ideas to problem solve. But if you've got a boss, you're going to problem solve the way that you're taught to based on their bottom line and need. For me, I get to be creative. I get to work with the families I choose to work with. I get to problem solve in real time. And I know this sounds so silly sometimes. I feel valued. I
I
can't
like
tell you
that.
how many times
They're saying
I
they want you to
walk
quit
away
your
happy.
job and they just want to hire you. I mean, that shows value that you're valuable because a parent's saying, I don't want to pay this person, I want to pay you because we're using you. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like the biggest testimonial affirmation you can possibly freaking get. I would get that in like writing and put it in like a gold frame or something. That's incredible. That's the great affirmation. It shows your shit. That's kind of cool.
Well, thank you. And I hope it shows that their kids are prospering and flourishing. And one of my key favorite things to share is like the same family that told me that, my first family, I'm still with them. I'm literally emailing between mom and another school right now. We're 6 years in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So then they know when there's a good thing there. So
Yeah.
we'll go back to COVID real fast. So how did you pivot during COVID? Did you do then? Because remember for 2020, we didn't know our heads from our asses. We had no idea what was going on. 2021, we kind of figured it out a little bit more. COVID mutated a little bit, and it's not a health podcast. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, so don't take this for a word of anything here. But then 2021 kind of got a little bit looser, somewhat. But how did you pivot?
We got some people
You were in schools, and then there are no schools to go into.
Yeah. So I want to say almost the week before COVID, I just scheduled a bunch of tours at schools. I remember March 12th sitting with a family and talking, and we were not masked. And then like a week later being like petrified, seeing somebody within 6 feet, right? Like you go from normal life to like, I can't trust any human. I would say North Star benefited from the families we had, we kept. And so that was amazing. And then
you went to Zoom, right?
We went to Zoom. I started seeing more clients in person because all of my kids were on Zoom. And so when I say I'm masked up, I was gloved up, hand sanitizer, everything.
You had the visor?
Had the little visor. I
never understood the visor. How that, because things could go around. I never got the visor part. Never got that.
I did the visor and the gloves because it's kids. And so if I'm in someone's home, the kids aren't masked, the family's not masked. I would never ask that at your home. But who's not going to hug a 5-year-old? Who's not going to like expect a 5-year-old to come by and
they're snotty and you don't know what the heck they have. Yeah.
No, and what they have is 5-year-old germs. They didn't, thank God, have COVID, but it was trying to keep as much normalcy as possible. So I come in looking like a NASA space astronaut with all of my gear, but I was there day in and day out with some of my kids. I have a team of tutors who were in the home. And so we didn't scale quite as large as we wanted to because we really were more one-on-one and we didn't have the capacity. Yeah, we didn't have the capacity to do the large, grander scaling. But what we did is we went deep. And so I had kids who right before COVID were really on the brink of like, we're not sure how the rest of the year is going to go, to these kids skyrocketing because they needed that individual education. They needed somebody.
There is always some silver lining with COVID.
Oh God, yeah.
Like I had my best years in my 15 years of business. I've had my best years during COVID because everyone realized they needed websites. I'm like, oh no,
you need a website.
What do we do?
Yeah. You need a website. You need somebody who can do, like you said, more bespoke. I always think of it as the highest customer service. Here's the thing. I work with kids and I work with families. Nobody wants to feel like they're a number, and nobody who works with us feels that way. You get a one-on-one with me. You get to meet anybody you want. If somebody on my team isn't the right person that day, I've got 2 other people that I can send over. Because at the end of the day, our promise is to see your child fulfilled. I don't care if it takes 100 different methods. We're here. We're going to do it because what we can do is not what the school can do. A school teacher has 30 kids in a classroom. My instructors have 1. So we better do our jobs well.
You better. And clearly you are. So what keeps you up at night? Well, with entrepreneurship.
Growth and scale, making sure that my team feels really supported, making sure that my team knows that they're bought into my mission, which is seeing students of color, students and families succeed. And what really keeps me up at night is I've got about a handful of kids that I've known since they were young, and now they are big and taller than me, and constantly wondering what is it that they're going to need next? Who is it that needs to help? Who am I missing a call from? I have like a running to-do list. My to-do list is about 3 pages long, and I categorize it by student, by school.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I would say the first 2 years that kept me up. Now I've learned, like, don't lose sleep, because people aren't going to answer your email at 2 a.m. Even if you send it tomorrow, it will get figured out.
Don't get in the habit of using the snooze function on email either. That's a little too handy.
Yeah.
I'll get to 3 o'clock in the morning every once in a while with an idea, and I'll snooze it till 9 o'clock in the morning. But I'm like, I wrote it at 2 o'clock. I'm like, that's not healthy. That's not a good idea.
That's not a good idea.
So here's a question for you. What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
A sense of confidence. And sometimes it's in myself, sometimes it's in God. Not sometimes, it's always in God. Sometimes it's in me. Most often it's in my kids, because I have to always remind myself I can only do so much, but they can do so much more than we ever expected.
Oh, so kids are amazing. They're so moldable. I mean, like, my kid surprises me every single day. He's like, he's learning how to code in Roblox, for crying out loud. He's 10.
Yep.
And he comes up to me, he's like, Daddy, can you show me how to fix this? I'm like, no, I have no idea what I'm looking at. And he starts showing me. I'm like, how'd you learn this? He's like, YouTube.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'll learn on YouTube. I'll do it once and I'll forget. I'm 42.
No, they don't forget.
My brain has reached capacity. It's done. I can replace things in it, but I can't add to it. And he just absorbs it. He watches something once, and then he's like, well, what if I do this? And I remember when I was learning web design, and I remember when I was doing that back in the day, back in the 90s, back in the Stone Age.
Beginning of the internet, when
beginning
AOL
of the internet,
CD.
yeah, exactly. Dial up, beep, boop, boop.
Oh yeah,
it's always good for audio. It's always good for audio. But I remember like saying, "What if I do this?" And I learned how HTML, I learned how to do CSS and all that stuff. I can't do that anymore. I have to have crib notes.
Yep.
I will not. It'll take me 15 tries to remember one thing permanently. Whereas he'll be like, "Oh, okay," and he'll know to do that. Kids are amazing.
Yeah. And remember when you were young and everything was an experiment of fun, versus the weight of like, I've got to get it right. That's the thing with kids. Kids are like, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. Yeah. If I can't figure it out, then I'll try another way. As an adult, it's like, no, I did it the one time the way you said, and it doesn't work. So I'm walking away and abandon it. And that's the difference. I always think, like, kids, if you give kids a low stake opportunity to enjoy themselves and to learn, they will.
Oh yeah.
The moment you make it weighted.
My kiddo says he doesn't like school, but when he comes home from school, he's like, "Guess what I learned today at school?" I'm like, "School's like prison." I mean, he's so smart. He made the parallel of school to prison, because you can't do what you want when you want. You have schedule. You have this. I'm like, that's very intelligent of you. But you have to come home at night. And he's like, "Oh, well, that's true. That's true." I'm like, so people can find you over at northstaracademics.org.
Yeah.
And of course, you're on LinkedIn. Is that your big ordering hall online? Is that where you like to hang out? Is LinkedIn, or is it Instagram? Like, where can people find you?
Most people can find me on LinkedIn. So I love to chat with people. I've got some really great counterparts, and we're always posting and sharing info. So for families who are looking for just a ton of great information, LinkedIn, we're always posting. And then I'm on Instagram, but like I said at the onset, social media is not.
Give you a balance sheet before social media.
Yeah, give me a balance sheet before social media. I'm of the generation where, like, I was too old to be an early Instagram adopter and all of that. So
I couldn't get into it till they made it to Android. So I was like 3 years past. And like, guys, put it on Android, for crying out loud. Now they do it. Now they do parallel. All the developers do parallel. But for like 4 years, it was like Instagram this, Instagram that. I'm like, I can't play with it because it's not for Android.
Yeah, look, I still miss my BlackBerry. So that just tells you like how far back I'm willing to go with a cell phone. But no, we are on Instagram and we're on Facebook. So it's a great way to engage with families. But
Yeah.
I'm super excited for any family who wants to visit our website, use the
Yes.
contact us button, make an appointment. I'd love to chat.
And are you mostly local, or do you do nationwide counseling?
No, we do nationwide. So actually at the onset of COVID, half of my clients were outside of California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
God,
And
isn't
so
the
it's
internet
great.
amazing? What you can do with it
It's
now?
it's phenomenal. And my background just being in education administration, I've got clients in North Carolina, Texas, Atlanta,
Oh, you're all
Washington,
over the place.
DC. So we've been all over the place. And
Everywhere
what
it's
I always
cheaper
like
to
to
live.
tell yeah, so then I chose the most expensive place to
I
live. Well,
know, Atlanta, you can get the same house you have probably in California for half the price.
oh,
I have
don't
friends
get
who
me
moved down to
started.
Atlanta, not for the political system or anything like that, but because it's cheaper down there than it is in the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Philly though. Like my best friend's gonna move to Philly and I'm so excited. I can't wait for her to get there.
Philly's, don't get me started on Philly. We'll be here for hours. Born and raised in Philly. I mean, I love Philly. Philly's my Philly. If it was a human, I'd marry it. I just love Philly.
Well,
It's
if
my
it's
city.
any
It's my city.
consolation.
Like New York. Oh, sorry, New Yorkers.
Yeah.
I do not like New York. New York. I like New York in small doses. I can go in Philly every single day and be perfectly happy.
Philly's a great city. It's a cosmopolitan city, but it feels really approachable. Like the way that DC used to feel at one point for me, Philly feels that way. You can get into Philly,
DC's
you
still
can do
approachable,
anything
but
you
DC
want.
also has a better museum structure, I think. DC's got the Smithsonian, which is
Yes,
like, awesome.
yes. But I think Philly's got so much beautiful architecture, great
Yeah,
museums, and then obviously American history. Like you can get what you want in Philly depending on where you are. Yeah,
it's
I love
awesome.
Philly.
I love it. And on that note, we'll end on a Philly Love Fest, which is kind of funny because we
Yes.
have the love statue. So, Ashley, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad you came on, and we'll see everyone next time.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Joe Singer and Tom Stallings host a great podcast called Take a Breath. Joe, tell us what you talk about on the show.
Yeah, so Take a Breath is a podcast for people who are really trying to build something valuable in their lives, whether it's a business or a marriage or whatever it is you're trying to do. We help you with some hacks to build your best life.
Wow. Where can people subscribe?
You could find us on marketingpodcasts.net as well as mergeanalytics.com. And you can also find us on LinkedIn and YouTube.
And wherever you get your podcasts. So go subscribe.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.